One of the most common aspects of shadow archetypes that I see come through holographic readings is perfectionism, especially as women, as mothers, as female entrepreneurs, as healers. It is absolute complete torture that we put ourselves through in the limelight of perfectionism that is unconscious. And these unconscious contracts that take us to self-cruelty, that we're not good enough, can literally remove our joy from life at every level. And so as someone who has struggled with perfectionism and these tendencies myself, and how we can hold us back, how we can hold back our entrepreneurship and the joy that we do in our work, and also feel the essence of receiving back when somebody is thankful for what we offer them, we're only seeing life run away. And so as it's defined, we understand that perfectionism is this unrealistic expectation and self-realization that sets a bar so high, you'll never be able to reach it. Is this sounding familiar to you? I know for me, ADHD, that tends to be a place of hyper-focus where I just go over and ruminate on perfecting content. All of these tend to make us anxious. We're unable to then process and learn from this shadow archetype. We get stuck in feedback loops and self-criticism. So perfectionism often then has these roots that are in childhood attachments. And it is perhaps from parents that have unrealistic expectations. It's maybe from a teacher or coach that over-criticized you. And if we had to figure everything out on our own, we have actually developed perfectionism as a coping mechanism as a child. And then this as an adult becomes an insecure attachment and becomes unhealthy perfectionism. So what happens then is the brain starts to deviate and starts to ruminate in certain pathways. And it's self-referential thinking. And it literally hijacks our brain and puts people into disorders in what we call OCD and maybe even sometimes ADHD tendencies. And so what happens is we have this big drop of dopamine and we have this increase of activity in different brain regions that are related to error detection and correction. So while some of this is normal, perfectionists tend to overfocus. They are creating these brain errors in unproductive ways. And the cost of this perfectionism is often ending in depression, relationship, anxiety, and it makes us believe that we're basically have all these flaws. And it's a one big recipe for shame and for guilt and self-doubt. It is an ungain, but there is hope. And with self-compassion, with support from mirroring somebody else with somatic work and bringing you into this resonance of safety and allowing you to see the shadow archetype, to remove the black and white paradox, and to remind our soul that we are normal, we make mistakes in life, and healing from perfectionism is a process. And so the holographic reading really supports this transformative process by three different aspects. Number one, we're identifying the block. We're going to pinpoint the chakra that is limiting your soul's contract, the beauty of it, at the root from these reoccurring emotions that are triggering you. Then we're going to connect to the archetype. There is a shadow archetype of the perfectionist that is showing up as a productive and an adaptive shadow archetype from a past experience. We bring it lovingly out into the light with no judgment. It just is what it is. We take off our judgment of this. And then when we get clarity on the chakra, when we get clarity on the archetype, and we identify to ourselves or other who we made this contract to, we then can uncouple the contract and collapse the timeline on perfectionism, that dark shadow, and allow it to be productive with excellence versus perfectionism. So some statements that you may unconsciously be saying, and what has come through with some of my clients, will be like, I have to excel at everything that I do to prove my worthiness to the world or to myself. Or I must achieve perfection to make up for all of my flaws. Or I have to be the best, or there's no point of trying at all. Now, this, again, is coming from a place of power over and power under and needing to be accepted. Versus through the holographic reading process, we come to a loving place of power with and power within. And we understand the vulnerabilities of staying in the shadow. And when we bring it out into the light with no judgment, we understand that excellence is the other side of that shadow. And we lead from that place. That is what beautiful soul aesthetics brings out in you. All my love, all my light.